What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Thursday edition of Turf Talk. I am one half of your host, Dylan Davis. My co-host to my right, Scotty. You guys can follow us on Twitter at DylanJD98 and at Scotty John. And of course, if you're new to the channel, we are Team DSM Media. So tap in at DSM_media on Twitter. And if you're new to our YouTube channel as well, thank you, welcome, and hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 500. We only have, Scotty, what do we got? 5-6 days left until that runs out for Phil to shave his beard for the first 4 decades.
Yeah, got a few more days left of that, so try to
help us out, because I'm trying to see this person.
I want to see this, man.
I'm trying to see Phil Stifle shave his beard for the first time in like 37 years or however long he said. I might even throw something out there that I'll do as well if we can get to 500 soon. But of course, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and let's get to it. Scotty, first of all, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. Just got off work, been rushing around, but definitely ready to talk some NFL here, and do our regular thing every Thursday night here, man. So I got my new lights. I'm trying to get creative with the background here, so you'll be seeing more.
Well, it's Christmas time, man. You gotta be decorative, and guys, it's Christmas. And look at this. First of all,
festive.
Do you see this? And how comfortable this is? And look at my man Scotty. Hold on, look at that, guys. TeePublic, head on over to at DSM_media. You can find our link tree in our bio. Our TeePublic account is the first link that comes up, and there are a bunch of different designs. I believe we have 18 different designs on TeePublic right now, whether it's for DSM Media, a bunch of the shows being Turf Talk, Faithful Fanatics, Trending for Four Quarters, all that stuff. We have Jalen Hurts, Nick Sirianni design. We have a couple MV3 designs for Bryce Harper winning the MVP award. So check us out on TeePublic. We're also brought to you by Manscaped as well. Scotty, Week 13 was an odd week, man.
God, I feel like we're saying this every week, man. It's getting weirder and weirder each week that goes by.
This week stuck out to me a little bit more, especially reflecting back on it. So, first and foremost, we're going to start with our Eagles-Jets recap. We talked about it on Monday on the Faithful Fanatic Show, so we won't go too in-depth with it, but we will touch on it here on Turf Talk. We'll talk about what else went on around the NFL in Week 13. We'll update our top 5 power rankings heading into Week 14, and of course we'll preview tonight's matchup: Steelers, Vikings, some wild card playoff implications in this game as well. It's getting there, dude. There's still a handful of games left, but Week 14 out of 18 now, we're getting down to the nitty gritty here in terms of every week meaning something for different divisions, different teams.
Yeah, and we'll get into the matchup a little bit later, but as you mentioned, the playoff picture, and it's kind of the theme of this whole episode, I feel like, because just hearing you talk here, I know what my takeaways from the week were. Yeah. It's all based around that.
Me too.
How jumbled up everything is, and every single matchup, whether it's not necessarily each week that 2 potential playoff teams are playing, but at least one potential playoff team is in almost every game in these coming weeks. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. And that AFC is especially congested right there in the middle when you're talking about wild card spots. So we'll get into all of that in a little bit.
And when you look at both these teams playing tonight, both are teams that I feel like we've kind of cracked jokes about over the course of the season, not taken too seriously, and yet here they are fighting for that one of those 6 or 7 seeds in their respective conferences. So we'll get to that towards the end of tonight's show. But first, let's start with what took place in New Jersey. You were there for it, obviously. Not going to ask you how the game was. Scotty might not remember too much of it. But he definitely had a blast down there.
For sure.
But yeah, man, Eagles come away with a victory 33-18 over the New York Jets. And Gardner Minshew got the start. And I think first things first is it looked different. It did hear the numbers for you. Gardner Minshew, 20-25, 2 passing touchdowns. Dallas Goedert, 6 catches for a career high, 105 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. Miles Sanders, 24 carries for $120. Quez Watkins even threw in 3 catches for 60 yards. That's my first thing, Scotty, and I feel like this is going to be 95% of our segment here when it comes to Eagles-Jets is it looked different, man. You're lying to yourself if you say it didn't.
Yeah.
I'll throw it to
No,
you.
no, I completely agree. That's exactly what I have written down here. The passing game looked great, compared to what we've seen all season. Now, that's not to say that Jalen Hurts hasn't had some good games passing the football, but it hasn't been in a while from the feeling of it. And since the winning has started, it has felt like that has been missing in the whole game plan. Not the game plan, I shouldn't say, but just as far as the main attack that we're going with, it's been obvious. It's been the running game, and in this game we got to see both facets. I would say at its full capacity, right? Like we're talking about 33 points, close to 250 passing yards, close to I believe we were actually over 200 rushing yards. So
I think they ran for $187, I believe.
$187, so close to 200 rushing yards, close to 250 passing yards. I mean, that's when your offense is fully optimized, and you're talking about close to 500 total yards altogether. It is the Jets, I get it, but we played other bad defenses this year as well, so that's not an excuse. And I guess what I'll say, because I've been reading it all week, I've been seeing it all week. We know that Jalen Hurts is going to be the starter. Like, that's not what this is about. That's not what this conversation's about.
No.
But it showed us things that we haven't seen in the offense all season. And while, okay, we can all agree Minshew isn't the future either, but it just emphasizes the holes in Jalen's game is what I'm trying to say. And it shows you what your offense could be if you had an elite passer, not even a Gardner Minshew, right? Gardner Minshew's probably average. Get an elite passer, and what does this offense look like? What does Nick Sirianni look like as a coach for this season? It has me looking back on everything. I'm not going to reflect too hard on it just because what is the point? But going forward, I get it. Jalen Hurts is the guy. He has a lot to prove, and it just puts more on his plate to prove, I feel.
So a few things. You mentioned how the offense was very effective on both running the ball and passing the ball. They were very balanced. They both chewed up a lot of yards.
Yeah.
They put up 33 points. They did it in different ways, right? They were able to push the ball down the field quickly with a couple long passes. They were able to pick up a couple chunk runs, but they were also able to, in the third quarter, have a 10-plus, 11-plus minute drive, maybe even a little bit more. I remember at the end of the third quarter, we only came away with a field goal that drive. Yeah. The Eagles possessed the ball for like 11 minutes and 30 seconds, and the Jets had the ball for like a minute and 22 seconds. The Eagles scored on every possession outside of the final possession, offensive possession of the game. So the offense looked great. I think here's my thing. You got to see Nick Sirianni call a different type of game, and you saw him do it successfully. Yeah. That was important to me. So, again, New York Jets, maybe, probably worst defense in all the National Football League. I understand that. You understand that. But what people can't do is talk about Minshew's play and diminish it because it's against the Jets. Jalen Hurts just played the New York Giants the week prior. Had his worst game of his career. The offense put up 7 points. He threw 3 interceptions. Looked horrible. Yeah. Giants have a better defense than the Jets. Jets beat the Giants head-to-head. So the Giants' defense isn't just worlds better than the Jets, and you saw two different defenses and schemes there, right? You saw Nick Sirianni be able to, pound the rock with Miles Sanders 24 times. Yeah. That allowed Gardner Minshew to line up under center, play action rollouts, the screen game, tight end screen. Scotty Dallas Goddard caught about 2 or 3 screen passes. You just saw a lot of different things from this offense that you haven't seen in the past with more, shotgun, college style, RPO, QB runs, and it begs the question, right? Yeah, we always want our coach to put our quarterback and our players in a better position to succeed. That shouldn't mean you have to base everything you do around the one thing a guy does well, right? And I think that's one thing that stuck out to me this past Sunday was like, yeah, okay, run the ball, Nick. It'll help Jalen, Nick, right? True, but it shouldn't have to be every single thing you do is to help this kid out. Scotty, the point of this conversation, I know we have, Minshew Mania, hashtag Minshew Mania. Minshew gives the offense a different look, right? It's not about Gardner Minshew. I think that's what people are getting confused by. If you're on Eagles Facebook, the groups, oh my God, you're just seeing fans argue about Minshew and Hurts. Bro, I'm not gonna lie, you're missing the point if you're arguing for Gardner Minshew to start. I don't want Gardner Minshew to start. Gardner Minshew isn't my future quarterback.
Yeah.
Right? The point is the different style of play. What happened on Sunday didn't bring up a quarterback controversy, Gardner Minshew versus Jalen Hurts. It brought up Jalen Hurts versus the future because it showed you the glaring difference in the style in what Nick Sirianni is capable of doing, what Dallas Goedert's capable of doing, what Miles Sanders is capable of doing, right? So I don't know, man. I think people are really missing the point when there is no quarterback controversy. Any level-headed person can tell you that.
Yeah.
But it brings up the question, Jalen Hurts, this game might have reflected poorly on Jalen Hurts in the future.
Yeah. And, I think that's what everybody – it's like this argument that nobody's really even trying to have. Like, I'm not trying to have this argument. Like, as far as Gardner Minshew, like you said, Gardner Minshew versus Jalen Hurts, it is literally not about that. But anytime we talk about Jalen Hurts and the future of the Eagles and the Eagles potentially going after a quarterback in the offseason, the argument is always it is never based around Jalen Hurts' talent, his arm talent, right? Like, oh, Jalen Hurts is, throwing the ball really well this year. He's made major improvements on the way he reads the field and how accurate he is in the passing game and his decision making. It's never that conversation. It's always, oh, the draft prospects don't look that great coming out this year, so let's give them a shot. Oh, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, they won't want to come to Philadelphia. Let's give him a shot. Oh, this team's not ready to compete for a Super Bowl. Let's give him a shot. That's fine. Give him a shot. He can have next season too. If that's what we have to do, that's fine. But stop calling him the franchise quarterback. Let's stop calling him that. And I've said this before. Not every quarterback that comes through and plays more than one season for the Philadelphia Eagles is a franchise quarterback. That's fine. We just got to stop putting it on this pedestal as if it's like this top 10 quarterback.
Right. Like, or like the dudes or like the people on social media. I've seen it a bunch of times. Anytime he does something good or the Eagles win a game,
it's like in your face.
That's my franchise quarterback. Okay, dude, like that's the thing. I think Gint said it perfectly on Monday, Scotty. It's not Gardner Minshew versus Jalen Hurts. It's Jalen Hurts versus 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't help but notice that what played out, what transpired on Sunday, it's not all a coincidence, Scotty. Like, Dallas Goedert having a career day is not a coincidence. Again, people throw back at me. Oh, it's the New York Jets. Okay. The New York Giants, how many times did Dallas Goedert get targeted?
Right.
Forget catches, yards, targeted. Right? Kansas City Chiefs earlier in the year. Falcons week 1. Carolina, Denver, Vegas. All these mediocre averages to below average defenses. He's not even targeted more than 3 or 4 times because the quarterback can't go through all his reads and progressions. The quarterback can't see and use the middle of the field. The quarterback can't make all those throws, and that's my point.
Yeah.
When you just see the difference, and it's like, I want that. That gives the Eagles the best chance at success in the future. Not Gardner Minshew, the style. I'm not a believer in the run-first quarterback. I'm not. And is he run first? Like, I don't even know who to compare it to.
He's not Lamar Jackson.
Right.
He's not. Because you can't find anybody to compare him to because he's not Lamar Jackson. And if Lamar Jackson in the Baltimore Ravens can't win a Super Bowl running their offense that way with the defensive talent that they have, why would the Eagles ever be able? Like, Jalen Hurts at his best would become Lamar Jackson. Like, that is like his ceiling, right? Like, I don't know, man. I'm so like sick of like the delusion when people used to argue with me about Carson Wentz. You know what I mean? Like, Carson Wentz showed clear talent. Even when he made a bad play, we knew that was a decision. It wasn't necessarily his lack of skill. And that's what worries me the most, man. Like, why I don't understand the translation.
Is this a fair comparison? And says Cam Newton.
Cam Newton is another one of those guys at Jalen Hurts' ceiling. That's
by the way, is this Mac Jones #1 fan, Ant Price, who was in last week? I forget.
Oh God! And we told him to start Mac Jones, didn't we?
Well, we didn't know the weather was going to be like that, bro. Like, I didn't have the forecast in front of me telling me they were going to throw the ball 3 times. Sorry, man. If you did,
you can't blame us on that, bro.
Boy came away with a win, and we'll touch on that game later as well. But Scotty, look, man, we're not gonna keep talking about it.
Yeah.
We discussed it well enough on Monday. I'm worn out. Dude, come on, bro. I didn't have the forecast behind me to let me know that it was
my bad.
Like,
and they still won.
He didn't get any points.
I'm so sorry, Anthony. I'm not sorry that I told you Mac Jones. I'm sorry that the Patriots just didn't throw the damn football at all.
Never seen craziness. That game was damn near unwatchable. But all right, does that wrap up this conversation? I want everyone. It's on the record now. I'm saying it, and I'm sure you'll back me up here. I guess it's not a quarterback controversy. It's the style of play. It's what he limits your offense to. And I don't know. I think I've seen what I want to see.
Yeah, and the last thing I guess I wanted to touch on was just, I'm a huge Goddard guy. So when I see that happen, it's like I already knew. It just proves in my mind, like I already knew that could happen.
Wait, actually, I do have another point, but yeah.
I'm just saying, like with Dallas Goedert, you brought it up, 2 touchdowns, over 100 yards, his best game of his career. He just got that contract extension. That is what I knew Dallas Goedert can be. And there's no reason that he can't be that every single week because there's no linebacker that can guard him. You talk about his physical ability. I know we love Zach Ertz, and they're very different types of players. Zach Ertz was a better route runner, more of a possession type of player. You can put Dallas Goedert in different situations, and I think that's where the Eagles got to figure it out because he is a different type of tight end, but you can still get the ball in his hands multiple times.
That's my point, dude. Like, and before, I think before we were questioning whether it was Hurts not finding him or Sirianni not getting him involved in the offense. It's clearly not the latter of that question because the first week he's able to, Sirianni's targeting him. The dude comes away with 2 TD grabs and 100+ yards. And so it's like, it's not even, Goddard couldn't get open, whatever. No. It's the fact that just showed you, like, when he's not even a target, Scotty, I think the Giants, he had 1 catch or 1 target or
one
whatever.
Catch and like two or three targets, I think.
Right. That's unacceptable. And it's every week. Here's my last point of it all. For all the people out there that like they love the Jalen Hurts legs aspect and they love what he provides in the running game and how we were a run first team, we're a running team, and that's how our identity, and that's how we're going to win, right? Eagles still led the NFL in rushing on this past Sunday.
Yeah.
Eagles ran for over $185. So they didn't lose anything in that aspect. And they showed you how you can still be a balanced offense, run the ball a decent amount and effectively, and still be able to stretch the field and make plays down the field with your arm. You get where I'm going with this. So Ant says, to wrap up the segment, so what? You're giving Hurts 2 more years, then he's gone. And if
1 year for me,
if it's up to me, yeah, sure. If it has to be next year, that's it. If it's up to me, he's not the starting quarterback next year. I've seen what I've needed to see. Now, maybe he'll come out after the bye week against Washington and have a rocket attached, a rocket launcher.
Then that's good. That's what he needs to do.
But
that's what he needs to do.
So far, I've seen what I need to see in terms of, like, you can't, Scotty, you can't. I don't see a future where he can grow that, where that can evolve. He just doesn't have the arm to me. There's no, off the field. Like, I don't know how that, if he doesn't have it by now, he's not going to have the arm in a year or two, Scotty. Yeah. Like that's just my point of view. So he wouldn't be the starter next year if I was the Eagles. I understand your point. Maybe Russell Wilson made a list. He really doesn't want to come here. Aaron Rodgers ain't going to come here. That's a pipe dream. Yeah. Deshaun Watson, with all the off-the-field accusations and all that going on, not going to be a Philadelphia Eagle, shouldn't be a Philadelphia Eagle. And, with the draft class, I get all that. But you have a very special opportunity this offseason with 3 first-round draft picks. I'm pushing my chips to the middle of the table. If there's no other option, sure. But if Russell Wilson's available and that list is whatever, you make the best offer for Russell Wilson because no one has the assets that the Philadelphia Eagles have.
Yeah, I think it's a great place to kind of leave it. Gut feeling, do you think they're a playoff team? Like, do you think they make the playoffs? Maybe you don't think of them as a playoff team, but do you think that they make the playoffs?
The Eagles?
Just a gut feeling, like off the top of your gut.
Oh, man. Part of me really wants to say yeah, because they do play Washington twice in the final. What do they have left? 4 games? Washington twice, Giants, Cowboys.
Yeah.
And 3 of 4 are at home, right?
Yeah.
Part of me really wants to say yeah.
Basically, 4 at home. FedEx Field sucks, dude.
But what I've seen from Jalen Hurts, like, though, if those limitations come out to play in the last 4 games, no, they won't be.
Yeah.
But if he comes out after the worst game of his career, misses a game due to injury, bye week, and he comes out and he adjusts and he looks better, I think the Eagles, just weirdly enough, I think they do. And then all the defenders get to say, I told you so. Look, he drugged this team to the playoffs. So.
And then welcome to NFL limbo, man.
Right.
Exactly where you don't want to be. So, I mean, we'll see. I'm not going to complain if we make the playoffs. I do want.
No, I want the playoffs, but there's no. What are you going to get?
Like, if they could make the playoffs and all of a sudden this running attack worked or something, that would be what it would take to prove me. You know what I mean? To make me relax a little bit. Is if they are able to beat a successful team in the
right, but what's that equate?
What? Yeah, I know.
The Cardinals in round 1, in Lambeau in round 1, that has ass whooping written.
I know. And if they get their ass whooped, then what does that really say? But yeah, I mean, we'll wait and see if they can actually even make it before we get into those conversations.
Yeah. We'll see.
You want to touch on the Pats and Bills real quickly? There's not much to it, so
yeah. It's something I had to turn it off. I couldn't keep watching it.
It's boring as hell,
dude. I've never witnessed anything like that. Have you?
No.
Scotty,
no.
The snowball.
It
was just 8 years ago today. A day or 2 ago, the snowball against Detroit, and that game had more passing and action than what happened in Buffalo the other night.
Yeah.
First of all, I don't know how the Bills lost. I don't know how the New England Patriots ran the ball, passed the ball 3 times. And
how do you lose? That's
lost. Because, Scott, all that is I know what you're going to – I literally know what you're going to do.
Yes.
Let's say out of 100 times, you ran, I know what you're going to do.
Yeah.
And you still couldn't stop. Not that they couldn't stop it. They only gave up 14 points, and 7 were on just a blown, a gaping hole on a 3rd down or 4th down, whatever play that was for New England in the first quarter, when Damian Harris took it 60-plus yards. But I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before. And it was just everything. The opening kickoff literally went 100 miles an hour at some lady's head in the stands. There was a punt in the first or second quarter that, took off on the right trajectory and looked fine. And then all of a sudden the cameras are way this way and the ball traveled 15 yards because dudes were dropping pitches, dropping 2-yard passes because of the wind. It was really hard to watch.
It was, and it was boring. I'm like you. I didn't watch much of it. I kind of peeked my eye at it in the second half a little bit, just to see the numbers and kind of how the flow was going of the game. But no, I mean, that's incredible. I mean, it's a great win for the Pats, right? Anytime you can conserve your quarterback, save his arm, right? They're treating him like a baseball pitcher or something, trying to give him a pitch count. But no, their running attack was on full throttle, over 200 rushing yards against one of the best Bills defenses, or one of the best defenses in the NFL, I should say. And it exposed the Bills, and it was an embarrassing win. I saw, the press conference after some of the Bills defensive players getting mad when the press asked him if that was embarrassing. I mean, it was embarrassing. They got the ball.
Jordan Poyer didn't like that question.
Huh?
Jordan Poyer didn't like
Jordan Poyer, and I think maybe Mika Hyde would have been up there, but
yeah, it was.
But they were very upset and felt very disrespected, which I get it. They're a great defense, but
definitely wasn't the way to phrase that question.
Yeah, it was ignorant, but
especially when the defense wasn't the issue. Because they did only give up 14 points. But again, like Ann said, you could literally put 8, 9, 10 in the box at times.
Do something.
And you still lost. However, Damian Harris was able to run for over 110 yards in that matchup is astonishing to me. I don't know how he didn't average less than 2 yards a carry. It just doesn't seem possible. But that's what happened. But Scotty, that was the disappointing part of week 13. The rest of week 13 had a lot of action going on, a lot of playoff implication games going on. So that's what I want to get to, man. I got 4. Well, actually, number 4 on my list was the Monday Night Football disaster. So that's crossed off. I got 3 other matchups I want to hit with you real quick before we move on. And if you have anything else, we can get to that as well.
Before, do you want me, because I do have just this whole Buffalo thing as one takeaways. So if we want to just touch on that before we move on, something I wanted to ask you, is Buffalo in trouble? Because and when I say in trouble, they're in trouble to win their division, but also in trouble as far as making the playoffs. There's some teams right on their heels in the AFC. The Pats are 9-4 now. They move into first place not only in that division, but also in the entire AFC. They play the Bucks this weekend. The Bills do. Are they in trouble, bro? You got the Colts breathing down their necks. Pittsburgh, Las Vegas right there, Cleveland right there, but they still got to play Bucks, Carolina, and then the New England Patriots again, which after that game, what makes you think?
And that'll be in New England, right?
Yeah, exactly. It will be in New England. What makes you think they'll beat the Patriots when they can actually pass the ball? You know what I mean? When you can beat them as simple as the same play.
What I would say is, if you were just talking about are they in trouble in terms of team-wise, philosophy, whatever.
As far as what they're supposed to be.
Yeah, you can't. The last game with that win and all, you can't correctly gauge or
what they're
down what they were able to do. But if you look at the standings, it's interesting, man, because you're now 2 games out of your division with 3 or 4 left. 4 left. You have Pittsburgh right on your heels, like you said. Indy's half a game behind you, and Indy has the tiebreaker because they whooped Buffalo's ass a couple weeks ago. Cleveland's finally getting healthy, and they're a game behind you. Yep. The Raiders are a game behind you. So dude, it could be very interesting. Pittsburgh, mind you, hold on. Pittsburgh all the way back to week 1.
Beat the Bills. Yeah, you are correct, man. They got the tiebreaker. So if they are who we thought they were, they'll figure it out. They'll make the playoffs. They need to beat New England the second time. That's what we're kind of getting at here. You may take this loss to the Bucks because the Bucks are starting to move around. They got Gronk back.
Is it in Tampa Bay?
I don't know. I'd have to look it up really quick. Take a look.
I honestly think they are in trouble. When you said what we think they are, Scotty, I thought they were a Super Bowl contender with an MVP caliber quarterback, with a top 3 or 4 wide receiver in all the National Football League, with a good defense. 7-5, man. Not screaming Super Bowl contender right now.
Not at all, man.
Which is some of their losses recently too. You can forget the Monday Night Football debacle. If you just go back a few weeks, you got your ass handed to you by Indianapolis a few weeks ago. You got who else?
And they are in Tampa Bay, man.
Oh, Tennessee killed them a couple weeks ago, didn't they? Before Henry got hurt.
Yeah.
So they're in Tampa Bay. That's a loss, dude. I'm telling you. They're
They're in Tampa
7-6.
Yeah.
And the only reason they have hope in week 18 or whatever, because does Buffalo still? No, they've already had their bye, right? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
So week 17 or week 18, excuse me. If New England already has the division locked up,
Yeah.
they could rest their starters unless they're fighting for seeding at the top of the division or top of the conference, whether it be that 1 seed or not. So Buffalo may have a way out in week 18 with an easy dub if they're able to go against a rested New England team. But
Yeah.
that's TBD right now. Looking at that playoff picture, that's scary, dude.
And so just looking at the Pats' upcoming schedule, just to kind of keep it even here. So they got the bye week this week. Then they got the Colts, so that'll be a tough game. So they don't got it much easier, man. They got the Colts, Bills, Jaguars, and then Dolphins. And the Dolphins have been really hot lately as well. So we'll see. They need to take care of business against.
So Buffalo never mind. So Buffalo does not play New England in week 18 then.
Buffalo. So bye week. No, they do not play them the last week. They actually play them
scratch what I said.
Next week. So yeah.
Right. In New England. You gotta figure at worst, Buffalo's gonna finish 3-2. They're gonna beat Carolina at home, they're gonna beat the Falcons at home, they're gonna beat the Jets at home.
So 10-7.
That's at worst.
Yeah.
Is that a playoff team?
I don't know. It depends how the rest of this plays out, man.
But speaking of other playoff teams, guys, there's multiple games that really caught my eye over and looking back on them this past weekend. So we can start in Vegas with Washington. Washington sneaks away with another win. How many in a row is that for Washington? 4 or 5, right?
Let's say 5, man.
5 straight for the Washington football team over Vegas. They're finally starting to catch an identity a little bit. Taylor Heineke's protecting the football a little bit better. Antonio Gibson is getting the touches he deserves. Ron Rivera's finally put 2 and 2 together. Equals 4, Ron. You give Antonio Gibson the ball. He's getting double digit or close to 20 carries a game and some passes out of the backfield. What are your thoughts on Washington, man? I mean, this was a game that I thought they would lose on the road, especially across the country in Vegas. Derek Carr in that offense, I thought, would be able to move the ball more than they did. What are your thoughts on the football team? The Eagles' next opponent.
Yeah, so they are. So it's actually 4 in a row. I just checked.
4 in a row.
Just for clarity, but it's what concerns me. Like when I'm talking about the Eagles making the playoffs, that is the team that I think would be the one that will obviously stand in our way. We play them 2 more times this season. This game against Dallas is going to tell a lot, right? Like this is going to be a big matchup this weekend. And if the Dallas Cowboys want to do the Eagles any favor, they'll knock the Washington football team off this weekend. But Hill was playing the wrong team. Yeah, that's what happens when you got guys that aren't quarterbacks playing quarterbacks. So I'm sorry about that, Anthony. But no, they got a huge matchup this weekend against Dallas where they can really get back into not only the playoff picture, but into that talking about winning the division conversation. And, they're just playing some really good football, and it almost feels like the Chase Young injury sparked them to play better. It is astonishing.
That defense was not the 2020 Washington football.
Yeah, it was not looking good, and they're looking a lot better. But I think Montez Sweat just went out. I'm not sure if it was COVID or not. I'm pretty sure he was declared out. I could be totally wrong. Let me just fact check that. But Montez Sweat has been playing out of his mind.
But you're talking about a team now, Scotty, that they're not just in the playoff picture. They're the number 2 wild card seed as of right now. They're extremely hot. They're extremely well coached. The defense is looking more like last year's defense than it was in the first half of this season. And that's why, just to compare it with the Eagles a little bit and cross over, that's why I laugh a little bit when people talk about the Eagles' schedule ending the year. Are the Eagles better than the Cowboys?
No.
Are the Eagles better than the Washington football team?
No.
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 Are the Eagles better than the Washington football team? I would say no.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I would have to see it, but it could easily become true. At the beginning of the season, I would have agreed. They have won 4 straight, so I guess that tells
And
you
I am not. You know how I feel about Taylor Heineke.
Yeah,
I'm not that guy.
I look at him as
I'm not saying that the Eagles
limiting.
can't beat Washington. I'm not saying the Eagles can't beat Washington twice. But when you want to say like how easy their schedule is, you have the Giants. Yeah, that should be a win. Except you just lost to them, by the way. So that's the one conversation I do want to put to rest. Stop telling me how the Eagles are going to win out and how easy their schedule is.
It's not easy. They've lost to the Giants already. They lost to the Cowboys already. And Washington football team, if we're looking at them like they're easy, they're looking at us like we're easier. Right. So, you know what I mean? As far as like that tells you where I'm at with the Washington football team. I look at Taylor Heineke as the same, level as Jalen Hurts. Like he's a detractor for an offense, not the greatest thrower, but, they've kind of figured out the similar path. And that's running the football with Gibson, McKissick, and they've been very effective with it.
What about the opposite? What about the team that came away with a loss in this game, who's right there in the thick of things in the AFC wildcard? They had a chance at home against a Washington football team that is a little bit beat up, that has Taylor Heineke starting. And, you know, if they win that game, they're 7-5, right in the thick of things right in that wild card. Right in the wild card, and also only a game out of their division. They dropped that game. So what's that say about Vegas? What's that say about Derek Carr? Is the Derek Carr of the past going to start to come out to play towards the end of the season? Is he going to start turning the ball over more, or is he going to revert back to weeks 1 through 5 where Derek Carr was a top 5 passer in the league?
They're 6-6. They're such a 6-6 team, man. And I'm just looking back at a couple of their recent games, and they're so up and down. So, they take 3 losses in a row after they blow the doors off the Eagles, right? Yeah. They lose to the Giants. They get blown out by the Chiefs. They get blown out by the Bengals. Then they come out on Thanksgiving, beat the Cowboys by 3, and then, boom, you go and blow one against Washington at home.
At home.
Make it make sense. I mean, it doesn't make sense at all, and it speaks to Derek Carr and his inconsistency. Even with him playing at the top of the league this year, it's so weird, man.
That is the most Raiders thing that you could have possibly laid out. Like, that's just – if Gruden was still the coach, that would have been the most Gruden Raiders thing ever. Like, they are – like, blow the doors off the Eagles at home, lose 3 in a row, go into Dallas on Thanksgiving, put up 38, whatever they put up, and a win in overtime, come back home, lose to Washington and Taylor Heineke. Like, that is as Raider as it gets, right there for me.
And they split against the NFC East. Now that you laid it out,
you lose to the Giants, but you beat the Cowboys, and I don't know. All right, next game that I want to talk about for a second.
Yeah,
Chargers smoke the Bengals in a game where I liked Cincy in this one. At home, Chargers can't stop the run. Joe Mixon's been on an absolute tear as of late. Justin Herbert's been struggling, throwing the ball, turning the ball over more as of late. Phil filled in for you on Sunday. He leaned Chargers. I thought he was nuts. Blew the doors off of Cincy in Cincinnati. What were your thoughts on this game, man? Obviously, you didn't get to see it. You were at the Eagles game.
Yeah.
But just looking back on it, reflecting on it, make that make sense. Like, the Chargers were a team we were calling maybe a little bit of a fraud. Cincy was surging in the right direction, and now, boom, here they are, both 7-5 now, 1-2 in the wild card seeding.
And it's just once again, it's like the story of their seasons. Like, the Chargers and the Bengals have been so up and down this season, and you would expect them, coming in with the same, or not the same record. I think Bengals had 1 game better record coming into that game. You would imagine that would just be a good matchup. It would be a pick'em game in my eyes.
It essentially was.
I'm looking at 2 young, elite quarterbacks in my eyes when I'm talking about Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert, and they just come out and they just, it's another game from Cincy where they just completely let you down. As soon as you want to start to believe in them, they let you down, man. And they did it earlier this season, losing a game to the Jets, getting the doors blown off of them by the Browns. After you blow out the Ravens, make it make sense in the NFL this year. But the Chargers, it's still, I don't know if that's them or if they'll revert back and let us down, going into the next week. So such up and down seasons from both of them. They really need to stay on top of their game the rest of this season. And I'm interested to know both of their ending schedules, just because they're right there in the thick of things in the AFC, like we've been talking about here, and or the chart.
Yeah,
they're up and down, man. That's the simplest way to say it. It seems like Justin Herbert, the Chargers had their day, since he once again had one of their letdown days. But
I think we'll talk about this more on Sunday because it will be the Eagles' bye week.
Yeah.
And obviously we'll discuss it as the season comes to an end here. But two very interesting teams when it comes to the playoffs in my mind. When you think of that up and down kind of year, they've shown glimpses of being really good, and they've beaten some of the best teams. The Chargers have smoked the Chiefs.
Yeah.
The Bengals have smoked the Ravens this year. Like, they've shown glimpses of being really good. Two quarterbacks who are absolute gunslingers. Both have good running games. Both have weapons for wide receivers, right? So come playoff time, that's very interesting to me because what side are you going to get? Are you going to get the letdown Justin Herbert, or are you going to get the, rocket launcher of an arm Justin Herbert?
Like, what the hell
Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon. What Bengals team are you going to get in a playoff game? So those two teams are very interesting to me to keep an eye on, especially, Scotty, when you talk about that top of the AFC picture right now, who they'll have to play. Obviously, you look at a New England team who's the number 1 seed in the AFC right now. The Chiefs are ahead in their division, but I believe they're the 4th seed. Who else? The Ravens are up in there. So I don't know, man. Those two teams, those matchups, you could see both these teams right now where we're kind of talking, no, they're too much of a roller coaster.
Which team do you trust more out of those two teams?
Huh. Oh, man. Oddly enough, I think I trust the Chargers more. But it's weird, man. Like, the Bengals have more, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The Bengals, when you look at Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow, to me, that's as close of a toss-up as it can get. I'd probably lean Justin Herbert a tiny bit right now, but Joe Burrow, when he's on, he's on. And you look at the plethora of weapons when you talk Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd. You got Joe Mixon, who, like I said, they've found a way to kind of unlock him this year to a point you haven't really seen in years past. That defense has been okay, but as far as Los Angeles goes, if Herbert's on, Herbert's very difficult to stop. Yeah. Keenan Allen's as reliable as it gets. Mike Williams, you talked about the Chargers being up and down. Mike Williams has been up and down on a roller coaster all year long, but he's explosive. I love Austin Eckler. Defensively, can they stop the run? Absolutely not. But they've got some playmakers. Well, you got Joey Bosa, and you've got Derwin James.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the best safeties in the NFL right now. They've got more playmakers defensively. If Justin Herbert's on, I probably trust the Chargers a little bit more, but that's close, man.
It is close. It is close.
All right, Scotty, the last game that I have for you before we can move on and get to this Thursday night matchup and then hop on out of here. We might maybe we'll say power rankings for Sunday's show, since we'll have to fill some segments there. You talked about I believe you used the phrase believe in, right? Let me tell you a team I don't believe in. A quarterback I can't buy into and believe in. The Ravens somehow lose to Big Ben and the Steelers in a game where Big Ben and the Steelers had more yards combined in a single fourth quarter than they did the entire first 3 quarters. I don't know how they found a way to lose this game. I don't know. I'm mind-boggled by this loss, Scotty. The defense, the last 2 or 3 possessions for Baltimore's defense couldn't stop anything.
Yeah.
They couldn't stop a cold, dude. Like, Big Ben tore them up and down the field. And again, and I'll throw this to you now. What is the decision to go for 2 points? Scotty, make that make sense to me. What is that decision? Listen, I get it. If you're a team that's like maybe trying to make the playoffs or a wild card spot, if you're a team that's not very good this year and you found yourself right on the doorstep of beating a really good opponent, you go for 2. We saw the Eagles do it against Baltimore in Wentz's rookie year. You see it sometimes. You're leading your division. The Bengals just lost earlier in the day. You have a chance to extend your division lead to 2 games. And you go for 2 points. You have the best kicker on the planet. Kick the PAT 2020, send it to OT, trust your team against Big Ben. Well, I don't understand the thought process that went into let me go for 2 here.
I think he may have put too much trust into that offense, man. And that's something that could come back to bite them. That's something that Coach Harbaugh may come back to regret when we're talking about how this division is going to play out. You're looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers now 6-5-1, and since he's right behind, I mean, this whole division, the Cleveland's still 6-6. They're right there. And all it takes is a few more letdowns from Baltimore, because they've had a couple this year. I know they only have 4 losses, but a few more letdowns like that, and they're looking from the outside in, and that's what we're talking about in this entire AFC division. So could prove to be a costly mistake. And once again, a limited team in general, and you look straight to the quarterback position. You only put up 19 points in that game. If you're truly a contender, if you're truly trying to separate yourself, yeah, you trust Lamar. I don't know why. Yeah, you take that to overtime. If you really trust Lamar, you take that to overtime and you let them win it. If you really trust your defense, right, you take that to overtime and you trust
right, that's telling your defense, I don't trust you. If we don't win this coin toss, I don't trust you to go down and get a stop. It made no sense to me.
Yeah.
And I get it. The play was there to be had. It hit Andrews on the fingertips. If Lamar just makes a better throw at the end, TJ Watt disrupted the pass a little bit in the vision. I get all that. You kick the PAT. You send it to overtime. He just drove you down the field with like 1 minute and 40 seconds left or so. You have faith in your team. You're the AFC North division leader. The thought process, I don't think many people have discussed it this week. Like, it just slipped right on the rug for a lot of people. And I'm like, I watched that decision go down, and I'm like, what the hell is he doing? And Scott, it just like that was playoff football to me. That was playoff atmosphere.
It's a playoff game.
And the scouting report's out, dude. Like that, what they did to Lamar on Sunday. Who did it to him? I'd have to go back and look, but a few weeks ago when Lamar threw like 4 interceptions or whatever, Miami laid out the diagram for you. Pittsburgh did the same thing, 7 sacks, INT. They laid it out for you.
Yeah.
And come playoff time against really good defenses, that's what's going to happen. It's happened every single year in the past. And I don't think it's going to change this season, dude. I don't.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you, and I'm just looking around at these teams in the AFC, and it kind of brings me to my next point, and the final takeaway for me out of this week, and it's that we could really see a Patriots and Tampa Bay Buccaneers Super Bowl.
Yeah,
like it's not a far-fetched reality. Like I truly believe it. Their defense, if you look across the AFC. They probably have the best defense in the AFC, maybe the NFL in reality. And you have a quarterback that doesn't turn the ball over, doesn't make stupid decisions, and they have a running game. So it's one of those teams, it would take Mac Jones to have some real nuts because, at some point throughout the playoffs, he's going to have to make some throws. They will get forced into doing that. But when I look around, the rest of the AFC, obviously the Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs are coming around. They're very much in the thick of it. They have very much all the capabilities to get where they need to. And you talk about if they're the number 1 seed in the AFC, teams are going to have to go up to New England and play them in New England, in Gillette Stadium, in the cold. And that's just crazy to me. And, Anthony, I was going to get to it in our power rankings. We're going to save it for Sunday because we're running out of time here. We're going to need something to fill segments without the Eagles talk there. But I still have some teams ahead of the Bucks, in my power rankings.
Mhm.
I have shifted towards the Bucks. I think the Bucks are going to the Super Bowl, and that's not to shit on Arizona. I just think they're having a great season. They should get to maybe the conference championship. They should get to the second round of the playoffs. They'll probably have a bye actually, but I don't see them taking that step to getting to the Super Bowl just like that. You know what I mean? You don't grow that fast unless you're really lucky. And then Green Bay, of course, they can do it, but look what the Bucks did to Green Bay last year. So I'm looking at the Bucks right now. My team was the Rams in the NFC. We see what they've done in the letdowns they've had. I'm looking at the Bucks right now as that Super Bowl favorite in the NFC. They may not get the 1 seed, they may not get the 2 seed in the NFC. I don't think it matters that much for them. They're so well rounded all around as far as their rushing attack, their passing attack, and their defense. I know people were clowning their passing defense. Once you get into cold weather season, it doesn't really matter that much. They have a very stifling defense. If you can shut down one part of the offense and force that offense to be one-dimensional, then you already have the advantage there. So, yeah, Anthony, I won't say I don't believe in Green Bay. I believe in Green Bay more than Arizona once it comes to playoff time. But I don't think Arizona is good enough to get where they want to this year as far as the Super Bowl contention. And New England, I'm looking at that AFC. It's a bunch of inconsistent teams. The Pats have won, what did I say earlier, 6 or 7 straight now? Why not? Why not? And you talk about Bill Belichick versus Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, and that would be insane. That would be freaking insane. And maybe it's something we could talk about this weekend.
Hey,
who that would be more important for in their career. But
what's so funny is I literally think a week and a half or 2 weeks ago, we had a conversation about the New England Patriots and their ceiling is, how far they could go. And we said, playoffs, maybe win a playoff game, right? Now they might go to the freaking Super Bowl. Part of me wants to say at some
I wouldn't call them favorites.
Yeah, no. But part of me wants to say at some point in come playoff time, their lack of weapons is going to come out to show.
I feel that.
Jacoby Myers, Nelson Aguilars of the world, the 2 tight ends, the Jonnu Smith with the Hunter Henry. Like, I just don't think Mac Jones is going to have enough to elevate himself and elevate this team.
And Kansas City is coming around. Like, they are.
But when I look at this playoff picture, Scotty, that's the only name that sticks out to me that says they can't beat them. I don't think Mac Jones is ready to beat Patrick Mahomes head to head. I don't care how good New England's defense is right now. I don't think he's good enough to do that.
I hope not.
But when I look at the rest of the AFC, part of me also wants to say if they met the Bills in the playoffs, I think the Bills would win.
I would not favor New England if they met the Bills.
But outside of that,
I
think it's the Patriots there. And if you're in that conversation, you have a shot, man.
Because you look at, we were talking about the Ravens. If they played the Ravens in the playoffs, like who has the advantage in the passing game, right?
I think New England wins 110%.
You know what I mean?
Bill and that defense would have Lamar so far.
That is not who they want to play. That is
not the matchup Baltimore would want in the first round. Or any round matter.
I think, I don't think you want them in the first round, period. And they may not. They may have a bye week for all we know. So,
all right, Scotty, let's wrap up tonight's show with a little bit of Thursday night football talk. As we said earlier, you got the Steelers and the Vikings tonight. 2 teams we've cracked jokes at. You got Big Ben, should probably hang them up. That offense, Pittsburgh tied the Lions like they're just a running joke, right? You got Kirk Cousins lining up under the right guard. He's not even lined up under center. They just lose to the Lions. They give Jared Goff and company their first win. Mind you, didn't even talk about this. The coverage on that final play, never in my life have seen something like that. No one talked about that either. Like, dude, it's the last play of the game. As soon as he approaches the goal line, body on him. They just sit back in their zone 5 yards into the end zone and let him just sit down right at the goal line. Bang. It was pitch and catch.
It was wild.
Never seen anything like it. But 2 teams, nonetheless, that have had their fair share of downs this season.
Yeah.
But are right there knocking on the door for a playoff spot, for a wild card spot, Scotty. So not, too much. Dalvin Cook will play, I think, tonight.
Yeah.
You got Najee Harris on Pittsburgh's side. We only have about a minute or 2 left because we got to go catch the Sixers Jazz game for all you Philly fans. Who do you like tonight, Scotty?
Favorites Minnesota. They are in Minnesota. Man, I feel like if I pick against Minnesota, they will win. I'm going to go with my gut. I'm going to go with Pittsburgh. I do think they go into Minnesota and beat them. Minnesota, big letdown, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
And this is like the game of the Lions losers. I know Pittsburgh tied with them, but that's as bad as a loss.
It's one thing to tie Detroit, another thing to lose to Detroit.
It is. That's fair. That is fair. There's levels to it, but they're both pretty shitty for even get into that point with the Lions. But I do got the Steelers tonight. They have the better defense. It does depend on Big Ben. I was about to say Ben Simmons. Big Ben a lot in that matchup. He just can't turn the ball over. But Deontay Johnson, he has been going off this season. He's one of the most consistent wide receivers in the NFL. I do expect them to win, but the Vikings have been so up and down. They're another one of those teams up and down.
I believe Adam Thielen's out as well.
That does hinder a little
I could be wrong there.
Dalvin Cook, kind of banged up. I'm wondering if they should have just went with Madison in this game, and just keep Dalvin Cook for down the line. But they're trying to make the playoffs right now. We want them to lose from the Eagles' perspective in a sense. But I got the Steelers tonight. I think they pull it out.
It's funny. You talked about being in limbo in the NFL is not where you want to be. And I just feel like Minnesota and Kirk Cousins are just in that point. They're never going to get out of it. They're going to be a fringe wild card seed every year.
Every single season.
Done. Listen, I'm with you tonight. I know it's in Minnesota, but Kirk Cousins primetime, I'm not about it. I ain't putting any money on that. I think for whatever reason, dude, as down as I am on Big Ben, and he needs to hang him up after this year, that win last week, that helps some things. And that helps this team, and that helps momentum.
Fuels them.
And when you're Pittsburgh, Tomlin, Roethlisberger, that defense, you mentioned some of the weapons, Deontay Johnson. I think Najee Harris goes off tonight. I think Pittsburgh somehow, some way, Week 18 is going to be trying to make the playoffs, even as much as we've clowned them and Big Ben this year. I like the Steelers tonight. I don't trust Kirk Cousins, and they are banged up. So that's what I got for betting purposes. I threw together something. It's like I do like Justin Jefferson to score tonight. So I got Justin Jefferson anytime TD scorer, Kirk Cousins 200+ passing yards, KJ Osborne 25+ receiving yards, Justin Jefferson 60+ receiving yards, and I think I sprinkled Freiermuth 25+ receiving yards in it too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. No winner. I wouldn't pick any winner.
No. Stay away from me.
No way in hell. But yeah, I do like that little pick 'em. So I may go put something on that as well. I do like that a lot, man.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much to everyone who watched, is going to listen, and all the commenters as well for tonight's episode of Turf Talk. Of course, we are brought to you by Manscaped. So use our promo code TURF20 for 20% off and free worldwide shipping. Again, that's code TURF20. You can see it at the bottom of your screen right now for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Of course, don't forget with the holidays coming up, if you want to support DSM Media, any of the guys, any of the shows on there as well, or if you just like some of our designs, head on over to @DSM_media on Twitter. Click the link tree in our bio. TeePublic comes up first, and we have all 18 designs, adding more as we speak. Guys, for myself, for Scotty, have a great night.